This is a really subjective and common way to measure diastasis, and we're using our fingers. So make sure if you don't feel like doing this and you have a friend or a husband or somebody measure it for you, just make sure in your tracking that you have the same person measure it every time, because lower chance of error, and they're going to be measuring it in the same place. So we're really looking at 3 different areas to measure: at the navel, above the navel, and below the navel. And that is because our diastasis, if we do have a split, it's not necessarily equal. It's not split all the way the same because of these different forces. If we're really lifting our ribs, there's a chance that that split's going to be higher here at our ribs because we're pulling that force there. But if we have more of a lot of pressure going down, coming out of our belly, it's probably going to be more in the middle. And then sometimes we just get a little bit more of it at the end, depending on our pelvic position. So we want to check all 3 places. And always check it, because it can always change. One place is closing up, but maybe another place is widening. Hopefully that won't be the case, but you just never know. And so we monitor this each week, and it's an idea of how that's progressing, if it is. So I just want to remind you that this is one element of it, okay? A lot of the times we get focused, if you do have diastasis, on how far split am I? And we need to remember that a lot of the thinking lately is, yes, definitely we want to split that. We want, or we want to close it. We want it, as close together as we can get it just for support. But just because those 2 ends of the muscle are pulled together doesn't mean that that muscle is functional. So for a lot of us, that tissue there actually gets stretched out and stays that way, okay? It's the muscles underneath it that are helping to stitch it back together, and it's not that the connective tissue between those 2 muscles of the rectus abdominis is getting smaller again. So if you've had 2 or more babies, it's really common to keep a 2-finger split in there, okay? And that's okay, because we're not necessarily worried so much about, oh my gosh, is it totally back together? But are the muscles functioning? Is that piston unit, is our breathing in our pelvic floor coordinated, and is it functional to being able to hold and adapt to the forces we're actually asking it to do? Anywho, all right. So you're going to lay down on your back, feet are up, and basically find your navel. We'll start with that. And just about, we'll go ahead and lift my belly up so you guys can see. So just about a little above your navel, I want you to take your fingers and you're going to put them perpendicular. So the line, our linea alba, is right here, and your fingers are going to be perpendicular. With your other hand, I want you to lift up just a little bit. Your shoulders should stay on the floor, okay? This is not a crunch, okay? This is just a slight lift of the head to activate the abs just a little bit. So then what you're going to do is you're going to put your fingers right here. If you have a diastasis, you are going to, I have a little bit of one more up here, you're going to feel kind of, I always consider it like a trench. You feel your fingers dropping down into a hole with sides, something on the sides of either one of them, okay? So some of us, one finger is like, oh, I can put 1 finger in there. I can put 2 fingers in there, 3, 4. Sometimes we get really big. If you get here in your 4 or more, then I want you to let me know ASAP. And then I also, I'm going to get you set up and get a referral for a women's health PT, because in that case, you need more than just exercises. You probably need some hands-on and some really good monitoring, okay, if it's that big. And we need to rule out things like hernias. So first one is we come through and you're like, okay, well, it's a 1, it's a 2, it's a 3, okay? Write that down. Then we're going to move up to start with. So as you move up, and I usually you have a xiphoid process, okay? So the rectus attaches here. So as you get up towards the top, find a place. I usually do it, here's the xiphoid, like right below the ends of the ribs here, or the bottoms. Check there. What is it? You can come down and relax, bring it back up, put it down. Come down, relax, and then go ahead, come back down to your belly, come up again. And now you're moving down all the way to this pubic bone, okay? You're gonna have to get under your pants to do it. So again, coming down, is it a 1, is it a 2, is it a 3, is it more? Okay, write that down. So do your best. Sometimes we have this abdominal layer of fat here. Some of us have more than others. The more that you have, the harder it is to like really feel what's going on in there. So do your best. The nice thing is, as you start this, it's going to be easier to be able to feel truly what's going down in the muscle. And I just say, don't be gentle, don't be rough with yourself, but palpating, you got to kind of get in there and really feel around and see what's going on and see the difference. Okay, here I am at total rest, and here I am with slight activation. Okay. The other thing you can look at, if you do a sit-up more, what's going on with your belly here? Is it doming up? Or as you exhale, and is it pulling in? That's going to be a cue to some of this activation in this function that we've been talking